let's get right into the madness. When people ask me all the time, like, who's your favorite guitarist? Who's the best at this and all? First off, subjective. Any answer's right. Could be Kurt Cobain, Eddie Van Halen. But for me, the MVP all-around GOAT is Prince. This is a copy of a Hohner Mad Cat. So in the 70s, this German brand Hohner came out with a Telecaster style guitar with like this really cool like 30s fire print pickguard, which by the way, I've left the plastic on it, and 2 Strat pickups, okay? And it has like a little piece of walnut, I believe it is, and the back is a little flamey flame. And Prince, the GOAT, literally played this for every show, every album, pretty much. I mean, he has like 10 million albums, so I can't say every album, but he played this guitar more than any guitar in history. And there's not a lot of Mad Cats out there. They're a very rare guitar if you find them like 10 grand. But there's been a lot of imposters, reissues, and they vary crazy in quality. So there's been some actual official Hohner reissues that are like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range. And for me, overpriced. Cool, but I'd rather get an original Mad Cat if I'm gonna spend that kind of money. Then you have a gajillion overseas, like crap copies of these that vary from like total horse shit to just cancer. So it's very hard if you love Prince, like I love Prince, to find a guitar that represents Prince that's not crazy money. There's this company called Eastwood, and they basically just rip off other companies and do like the reissues that you want in small limited runs. But when they came out with this copy Mad Cat, I'm like, all right, I'll bite. It was like $1,100 or something like that retail. And so it's way freaking cheaper than the actual official reissues. And then it's much more expensive than the overseas crap that you see for like 300, 400 bucks that basically make you play terrible. And the first thing I noticed was the neck is mighty orange. But other than that, when I plugged it in, it leaves me wanting nothing. It's beautiful, but it's like a nice subtle flame. And if you look at the original Prince guitar, it's a little bit more yellow than this, but it's also a subtle flame. And you have like a nice flame on the back. This was a beautiful surprise. So if you think Prince is the GOAT and you know that this is the Hohner Mad Cat and you don't want to spend $10,000 on one or $5,000 on a reissue, this guitar is all I don't really know what you would make better about this. The neck is fast, it's nice and smooth and fun, and the fret job is great. The electronics sound great. But Prince, he decided he wanted to rollerblade in the middle of the 80s. And once he started rollerblading, because he built a roller rink inside of Paisley Park, which is where he lived, that fucking crazy ass compound. Like, who even knows what happened in there? He gets this whole thing set up, starts rollerblading and goes, I can't find any proper rollerblading music. No music has ever been written for rollerblading. Why is there a world that I'm living in devoid of rollerblading soundtrack? So what did he do? He stopped his life. He stopped the lives of all of the people, and there was a lot of them, that kept this compound called Paisley Park in the middle of Minnesota. With Fargo, that's North Dakota, but Minnesota, and said, I need to, right now, solve this void for rollerblading music that you can groove to, that you can do like the... So he spends months and just locks himself in a studio and comes out with the perfect soundtrack for rollerblading that only himself and the people that rollerbladed in like 1988 through 89 at Paisley Park ever heard, because he put it right back into the vault and said, fuck it, when he was done with rollerblading. And that's why Prince is fucking awesome. So all of this influx of Prince material that had been forgotten, like those memories at camp, is now available. And I watched this 80s practice session, and it's done to his original version of Nothing Compares to You. Because if you don't know, Prince wrote not only #1s for himself endless number ones. He wrote, like, for Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. And she was mad because of all the songs on the record. That was the one that Prince wrote. What happens? Number one. What happens after that? Nothing Ever Again, because she ripped up a Bible on Saturday Night Live. That was Prince's song. And it was like the biggest song of the fucking year. When he passed away, they finally leaked the version that he did. And it sounds way better. Way better. Musically, production-wise. Like his demo that he gave to Sinead O'Connor, he's like, dumb this down 9,000%. And if you watch his version, they've taken a montage of all of his early 80s performances, like on a soundstage. And this motherfucker is the coolest cat that ever lived. Because he was like 5 foot nothing. Okay, little skinny nothing, like, and he's like, hey, showing up like half naked in like nothing but a fur jacket or like a fedora and a boa. And all of a sudden, this dude fucking channels Hendrix, flipping the guitar around like Yngwie, but way better than Yngwie, throwing it up, fucking dancing, doing these moves that Kiss wish they could do during their prime. And he's doing it like with platforms. You realize like halfway through the video, he's wearing women's like 6-inch platforms and he's dancing as good as Michael Jackson and he's doing these James Brown tricks where he's getting the fucking microphone as he's holding the guitar, then he's like, bah! With girls behind him, and then he's just like, no big deal, fucking dancing, doing his thing, playing the guitar, throwing it back. And then here's one of the other things I didn't realize. This dude plays everything. I had seen Kid Rock, and I was semi-impressed with the fact that he went from the drums to the keyboard, you know, bang, and does like a halfway decent solo, and he like gets on the drums, it's like in the air tonight. It's fucking great. I'm like, Kid Rock, good for you. You learned how to do something. I thought you were just a DJ. Prince does this, but he goes from the piano. He's like, and he's playing like Herbie Hancock, but like with his fingers crossed, like Liberace, like nobody's business. And he's like, fuck that instrument, moves on to the guitar, shreds! And like again, with like the reckless abandon of Hendrix, but like just this feel that like almost Marty Friedman. Like the fact that if you put Hendrix and Marty Friedman together and then just said, funk it up even more, that's Prince. He's fucking playing that shit, then he's like, oh, no, don't need that, goes to the bass. Starts like slapping like Les Claypool, except way better and funkier. So I should probably say like, you know, more like Parliament Funkadelic Bootsy Collins shit. But like just walks behind the drums, holds it up, starts doing the shit, starts playing. And he's just doing tricks. He's like hitting his head like Tommy Lee, but you knew he did it first. Then back to the guitar like he didn't miss a beat. And I'm like, what the hell did I just see? That was the moment I realized Prince is better at everything than you. I think of Prince in a red suit, right next to Tom Petty, celebrating the Beatles while my guitar gently weeps. And all these guys are playing and they're all killing it. And Prince is just sitting there. And all of a sudden he just goes off. And he just like channels, like on a Ouija board. Like all of a sudden Prince is possessed and he's shredding so hard, he falls into the crowd. He falls into the crowd like nobody's business and they just grab him and like they're touching his ass. He's like, I know, isn't it nice? I'm only 5'1", but I could do some crazy shit. And he gets back up and then he just walks up to Tom Petty and he just walks around and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking keep shredding. And he's got his fedora on and then he takes his fucking power stance and he just starts just murdering it. And he's got like the guitar face, but like you believe that one. It's not like that fake, you know, sometimes like the BB King, John Mayer, like I love those guys, but like, I'm hurting myself. Like Prince literally was taking the evil spirit of Gozer and releasing it to New York City through his guitar. And you could just see Tom Petty just sitting there like, and I think maybe it was Springsteen, so like, what the fuck is going on? That's because Prince is better than everyone. He didn't like people playing his music. He didn't like it being on the internet. He actually paid a lot of money to have himself removed from the internet. But the Foo Fighters did something really shitty. They played Prince at the Super Bowl. How dare you, Dave Grohl? Why would you do such a shitty thing, Mr. Grohl? The guy from Nirvana that's trying to fucking moonlight with Prince? Prince was not psyched. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna serve this motherfucker back. He goes, I just got invited to go play the fucking Super Bowl. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take one of your shitty tunes. You know what he does? He disses Dave Grohl by playing the Foo Fighters at the Super Bowl with the most people in the world watching ever, and then plays it better than they ever did. Fuck you, Grohl. Prince totally won, right? Not. Can you imagine? Prince is so mad that you play him at the Super Bowl that he learns your music. Well, he doesn't have to learn it. He already knew it because he's Prince. It's raining, there's purple lights on him, and he's sashaying and shantaing while playing it better than you. If Prince even said my name, that would have made my lifetime. Because the truth is, there's a certain point in your life, especially you metalheads out there that go, okay, there's only Iron Maiden and the new wave of British heavy metal, and then there's Metallica, and then there's some fucking newer shit like Mastodon that I like, but I can't really like because my shirt's stomped with Black Sabbath. I understand. I too lived in a box for a while. But if you want to walk outside of the box of Van Halen, if you want to walk a little bit further south of Randy Rhoads, if you want to go, hey, Hendrix, but with a little bit more like I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend in it, but not David Lee Roth, more like assless chaps, if that makes sense. You ever heard the Bat Dance? I'm Batman. You know the song? Prince is in a video with a bunch of naked, 98% naked chicks. And he himself, at like 4'4", is wearing assless chaps. All of a sudden he just turns around and he's just got his ass hanging out. Because just like Freddie Mercury, prancing around in a unitard in front of 90,000 people, looking completely ridiculous. Because I couldn't wear that even downstairs to my band would kick me out if they saw me even wear it. Prince could wear assless chaps, 6-inch women's platforms, full fur coats in 97-degree weather, and it didn't matter. Because the music superseded it all. Talent, in this case, superseded it all. Where Michael Jackson was the greatest dancer, performer, sure, okay. Prince did that at the same level, but then played saxophone, guitar, piano, bass, drums, trumpet, trombone, celeste, what's the things you go together? Triangle. Better than you. Put on some Purple Rain. And remember, that shit was recorded live. And realize that's the GOAT you're hearing.
Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?